Excellent. All right, so let's get the show on the road. Thank you everybody for coming today. This is our Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. We do this every single month. We've been doing it for more than 5 years now. So what you're going to get is you're going to get the latest official stats for the three major counties in South Florida. But more importantly, you're going to find out, what's happening in the market, and there's a lot of changes going on, a lot of stats and trends that could help you with your business. But first of all, every time we do this, the best part is having different leaders. You get different perspectives every single month. And we have an incredible leader. She has been on our board several years. And in 2027, she'll be the chairman of the board. Catherine, how are you doing, Catherine?
I'm great. Always a pleasure to be on these Zooms and see everyone and share some statistics and some knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're excited. All right, so let's say, we're streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We have the people on this call. Let's say that it's new realtors just joining us. Catherine, why is it important to be the market expert and to know these stats?
Well, you always need to find a way to differentiate yourself, right? There's 60,000 members just in the Miami Association of Realtors. That's not even including our neighbors to the north that have almost 50,000. So there's over 100,000 real licensees in between Miami-Dade County, Broward, and West Palm Beach. That is quite a bit. So you need to make sure that you are on top of your game. You know your statistics. You know the neighborhoods where you're going to be showing or selling, to really give that market knowledge to your customers, and also know the history of the area.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. Very important, and you guys are ahead of the game because you're here. You're here, so that's great. All right, so let's move on to our agenda. So we're going to go over September 2025 stats. The Miami Association, we own the SEF MLS, and we're going to be releasing the stats as we speak. So you guys are getting them first. You're getting the stats and a lot more. So that's our agenda. And like I said, we've been doing this every single month, and we already have November, we already have December set up. So if you guys want to register for those two Zooms, we'll be back here in a month doing it again with Larry in November and Simo in December. And then, so a lot of questions that we get on here. Is this Zoom being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. And can I get this PowerPoint? And the answer is yes. There's some changes now with our PowerPoints and how we share them, but I'm going to get it to you. If you could type your email in the chat. After it, I'm going to write down all the emails and I will send you. It's likely going to be in a PDF when I send it to you, but later this afternoon. You're gonna have this entire presentation, so you could take your time to look through it.
I wanted to mention something really quick. Sorry, since you mentioned that it was being recorded, in case there's several of you that are new on your Miami dashboard, you have a Miami live icon. You can favorite it so it's right on the top. A lot of the Zooms are recorded. All of these market stats Zooms are recorded, and you will be able to access them there. If you're new and you want to, let's say, learn about other programs, you can also look them up. It is a wealth of information where you don't have to wait for a specific class, and everything's available it's a click away for you.
Yeah. Oh, you're awesome, Catherine. Yeah, that's excellent. And that's a new feature where you could favorite. That's awesome. Okay, so we try to make it simple. If you guys could just remember one website and write down one website, it's this one, sfmarketintel.com. Later this afternoon, you're going to have all the September reports. Also, Q3 reports come out today. So you have every single city in South Florida, every single zip code in South Florida. You have all this wealth of information on sfmarketintel.com. After this, later in this afternoon, we're going to update the website and you're going to have all of that. So remember that website, sfmarketintel.com. And okay, so Catherine, let's go through the top indicators. I'm going to go through the our three counties, then I'll ask you a question. So Miami-Dade, you're going to see total home sales are up 5%, condo sales are up 2%, best sales month in terms of year over year. And then you see it throughout the the three counties. So you got Broward County here, similar story. Total home sales are up. Palm Beach County, they are significantly up. And look at condo sales there. But going back to Miami, Catherine, best sales month of the year in terms of like, year over year. Um, Major news there. So what do you think it is? I know mortgage rates are declining, and also new listings, especially on condos, new listings have gone down for 5 consecutive months. So I don't know, when you see these numbers, what's your reaction that for the best sales month we've had?
No, I mean, they're positive numbers, and there's a lot of factors that weigh into us starting to see this uptick in closed sales, which is fantastic. One of them, if you look at the consumer index report, we just saw that consumer sentiment in May was 81. And in June, it ticked up again to 84.1, which makes sense. Hence, the buyers felt more confident. We're out there looking at properties, and we're seeing now that uptick in September of closed sales. One of the things that they stated is people's views in their personal finances compared to a year ago were more positive. They felt better with the economy. And then the interest dip. The interest dipped a bit, which also helps motivate buyers. Plus, we're also seeing sellers, and this is huge, be more flexible with their terms. We're starting to see a lot more seller concessions, which is greatly helping buyers with either buying down their rates, closing costs, coming to less money to the table. And depending on who you're working with, several months ago, I helped a VA buyer. He ended up coming down with no out-of-pocket expenses because he took advantage of the VA loan with the 0% down, and then we got him the seller concessions to cover the rest of his closing costs. And the extra money they were even able to apply towards future association payments. So it was just a win-win for everybody. And of course, the seller won because they didn't have the property sitting on the market for so long. Sellers are starting to finally see the light where if they need to sell, they're willing to negotiate more the price, either by reducing it a bit or adding on those credits.
Very interesting. Yeah, I love that. Sellers finally seeing the light. That's a great story too, the anecdote. All right, that's good news. So guys, this is from Miami-Dade, and here's Broward and Palm Beach. And then so always when you talk about real estate, you got to talk about mortgage rates. And at the start of the year, I looked at, back in January, it was over 7%, and now we're getting close to 6%. Is at 6.17%. Catherine, I know it's always a big talking point, but like when you're talking to buyers, what is the conversation around mortgage rates, and how do you negotiate that?
Yeah, just to put in perspective, as you said at the beginning of the year, they were closer to 7. Now we're almost to 6. That 1 point difference is huge when it comes to affordability. On a 500,000 mortgage, it can mean anywhere from 300 to 400 less per payment, which is big for buyers. It can a lot of times allow them to get a larger property or move from a condo to a townhouse, depending on the situation. You can actually spin this both ways. If you are working with buyers, you could focus on locking in that affordability and avoiding future competition. Because as we saw in the past, when those interest rates really start to decline, you have a rush of buyers going into the market. And we saw how that wasn't it does not turn out too positive sometimes for buyers because the demand increases, prices then increase, and you start to see these bidding wars. For sellers, I know you didn't mention sellers, but you can always do a twist here. For sellers, you can frame the lower rates as expanding their buyer pool. There's going to be more buyers out there looking at their homes, more traffic coming through. So in essence, they are going to hopefully be receiving either more or stronger offers than before.
Interesting. Yes, yeah. No, it's important to look on the other side, the sellers. That's good. All right. All right, mortgage rates. All right, so let's talk about ultra luxury sales. Take a look at this graphic. This, it's been reported because we put it in our news release, but these are ultra luxury sales, 10 million and up home sales on pace to have the second highest in comparison to 2021 when that was the pandemic era craziness. And so to even be close to that, it's amazing. Catherine, when you talk about ultra luxury, there's a lot of things. I know that the government extended the 2017 federal tax cuts that really helped the wealthy. But yeah, what do you think about these numbers that ultra luxury is taking off in South Florida?
It does not surprise me. And even when we saw a dip in sales earlier in the year and last year, the ultra luxury market was still booming. Florida is such a tax haven to the wealthy. It has no income tax, meaning investment income. Is taxed only at a federal rate. If you are worried about passing your wealth on to your heirs, there's no estate tax here, inheritance tax in some cases. So there's so many different opportunities for the ultra wealthy to come to Florida and preserve more of their money.
Yeah, amazing. So we're continuing to see that trend. And then let's talk about other factors that make Miami different, right? Miami is different from an LA, a New York, a Chicago. And these are just some of the reasons: our population, international migration. So let's just go through it. Population rise. This is from the Florida Office of Economic and Demographic Research. You can see they're projecting even more people to come to South Florida. And so these are future buyers, right, Catherine? The good news.
Yeah, absolutely. If we continue attracting these residents, not if, we are going to continue attracting these residents through 2050. I mean, we're Miami, right? There's no better place to live.
Yeah,
But that's going to be our population base. That's population base will serve as our steady pipeline of future home buyers and eventually also future home sellers. It's important to keep track of also where they're coming from if it's from interstate migration, internationally, to also be able to later on identify and relate to them because this is going to be your future business.
yes, for sure, definitely. Keep an eye there on the population. And then, so this is something that makes that nobody has this. Miami is number one in the US in international migration. And it's not just Miami. If you include Broward, um, and I'm sure if we got the Palm Beach County numbers as well. But Miami number one, Broward number five in terms of the top 10. This is the world loves Miami. Um, and that's kind of what makes it special, right? Because it's not just the domestic, we have the global.
Yeah, we're a huge multicultural hub. And because of that, we have, I would say, a globalized economy with trade, tourism, and finance tied to all the international networks that have established themselves here.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about some of the companies that have come down here. Just to reiterate, we have Citadel, we have Blackstone, Goldman Sachs. These are just a sample, and then on the tech side, but there's a lot more that we could add to this list. I know that FIFA is making a headquarters in Coral Gables, and there's a lot more. It's amazing how the South Florida has changed from a tourist destination to a fintech hub, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these companies are also moving their entire hubs to South Florida. So they're also bringing all their employees here. So it's not just creating new jobs, which most of them are, but they're also bringing in a lot of their own people, which in turn is great business for us because then they're going to have to find a place to purchase or rent. So it's just been an overall boom for the economy.
For sure. And the best example is probably Citadel. They were based in Chicago, and the CEO said, he didn't like all the crime in Chicago, and he shifted everything to Miami. So amazing. All right, so Catherine, you kind of touched on this. What are the markets that are moving to Miami-Dade? And so we got these stats from our chief economist, Gay Crowtone. And if you're not following her, you should. She does some great job on LinkedIn, but also on our website, Economic Insights. You could find that on our website. She's routinely updating that with blogs. And so these are the top markets. Catherine, no surprise, New York. But let's say that, realtors are watching this. How can I use these stats here to make more deals?
Statistics as to where the buyers are coming from is so important, especially when you are planning out your marketing campaigns. If, let's say, you see that many of the buyers are coming from New York or California, uh, right now we recently did a survey to see what tools realtors are getting their leads from. And a lot of them have stated that it's from social media, Instagram, Facebook. You're able to target um, ads go a lot of times. Meta, Google Ads, you can target specifically specific states, specific cities. YouTube ads are also very good. And YouTube ads work very similar as when you're doing Google ads in the sense that you can target specific locations, specific cities. So your ads, you can film it here in Miami, but it will come out in New York. And you can make specific New Yorkers we would love to welcome you to Miami ads. That way, if somebody is thinking of moving down here, they're already starting to see you. And even going as far as doing retargeting. So if somebody happens to watch your ad and then they click out of it, your ad will then follow them. So you can, right now, with all the technology and all the online ads that are provided, you can really maximize your marketing efforts by honing in on the states, cities where those buyers are coming from.
Yeah, definitely. No, those are great tips. Definitely take advantage of these stats and then using technology to make more business. All right, so let's do a little trivia here. Let's see who could win this challenge. This is our Miami Global Trivia. So we recently put out a Miami New Construction Global Sales Report. If you haven't read that yet, I'm going to go ahead and type it into the chat here, where to find it. But we have some questions here. What is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? That's from our annual global study. And then number two is what percentage of Miami new construction buyers are from Latin America? That's from our latest new construction global sales report. So if you could type in these answers into the chat, we'll see who gets it first. And the third question is what percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? Um, let's see who gets that first, especially the first one. What is the top foreign countries top country purchasing in South Florida? As Miami Realtors, you should know this, and it will help you in your business as we move along. All right. So we'll get back to that. We'll see who wins. I see some already. You guys are answering. Thank you. All right. So let's get into some stats. Median sale price. How do we look at this month, September 2025? Single family home sales are up about 1.78%. Condos are even. Let me show you the next two, Catherine. Oh, I'm sorry. We have that, but that is for Miami-Dade. And then I wanted to get into this, Catherine, the Miami-Dade Special Assessment Program. Um, Catherine, can you talk about the importance of this? Because I know, the new state regulations went in effect in January. So this is an important program that realtors should know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Due to the collapse of the Champlain Towers, we saw immediately legislature pass several laws where they need to be fully funded, where reserves need to be fully funded. We've been seeing a lot of assessments now, but unfortunately now it's putting a huge financial strain on a lot of those property owners. One of the things that we always sell, or that's very attractive to buyers when they're purchasing property, is the fact that in a perfect world, they buy the property, they have a set monthly payment, and usually it doesn't go up at that much over time. And especially when you retire, that's something you are looking forward to. Now, with all these assessments, a lot of individuals had financial strain, had to put their properties on the market. But with the special condo assessment, it's designed to assist owner occupant condo unit owners in Miami-Dade when their buildings do levy these special assessments for major repairs, structural work, or building recertifications by providing a low-cost loan assistance to them. So it truly helps them. Sometimes it's very low interest, sometimes it's zero, but it's truly been helping many of the homeowners.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so the current, because I was talking with our chief of residential, Danielle Blake. She says the program is currently paused, but the county is automating the process, and it should resume soon. And Danielle did tell me that when it starts again, these loans will be targeted to seniors.
Yes.
So that's very good. Yeah.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, seniors are always the ones that tend to be impacted the most whenever there is a change in their monthly payment because they tend to have fixed income. Not all seniors have the savings they should or diversified investments. A lot of them are living off the retirement that's given to them, and that's a very fixed income. So any change, even as small as we think it could be, greatly impacts them.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be great once we get that program back up. And so let's take a look at Broward. It's interesting. I've been doing this for a while, and the three counties were very, they mirror each other. Single families up, and then here's a look at Palm Beach. Single family even, condos down, slightly. That's for median sale prices. All right, so Catherine, now let's take a look at historically. Let's go all the way back to 1995, and you could see this is one of our favorite graphics because it really tells a story about the resiliency of Miami-Dade real estate and how, there've been ups and downs, but the trend line overall is up. But you know, what do you think about this graphic and how does this tell the story about Miami?
It truly shows the growth of Miami. It started off as a small trading post into this multicultural economic hub, right? This here truly shows that growth. Plus, real estate is always one of the best and safest investments. And just like the stock market, you'll see it go up and down. But for me, real estate will always be number one because it's brick and mortar. It's a tangible asset that you will always have.
Yes. And that's why we're in this industry. I love it.
And as
Um,
we mentioned before, with all the population that's going to continue to come, um, let's say until 2050, we're just going to see those prices appreciating even more.
yeah, at least 2050 and beyond, of course.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here's Broward, similar trend line here. And you guys will have this presentation at your leisure. Again, if you could type in your email in the chat, I'll go ahead and I will send this to you. Here's a look, Palm Beach, historical, going back to 2009. And then, so let's talk about listings. Throughout the entire year, active listings have been increasing month over month. But we're starting to see a decline now. But Catherine, when we talk about the historical average, it's still below. And I don't know if that gets reported enough in the media, but we still have more room to go to get to the historical average.
Yeah. As of a couple of years ago, COVID, of course, that was in a normal market, and we saw listings severely decrease. Now they are uptaking. We're starting to see them decrease again, but I think it's just cyclical. Our real estate market during the year is cyclical, and we are entering the last quarter of the year where we do start to see listings um, dip compared to the rest of the year, but it's just the quarter that we're entering in.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And just as you were talking, I was just looking at this graphic and you could see inventory, 2009, 2010 is up and then went down in 2012, it goes back up. After the pandemic, it goes back down. And so exactly what you said, cyclical. Very interesting. All right. So how does Miami compare? Go back to that. How does Miami compare to other global cities, to a Paris, to an LA, New York? Hong Kong, well, you get more bang for your billions, right? Catherine, that it's the value, and that's why we're seeing so many global buyers come here, right? You get so much more for your money.
No, absolutely. We keep seeing in the headlines how unaffordable Miami is becoming, and I think it's more the locals that are just seeing that appreciation rise so fast within, especially the last several years. But when you see it at a global scale, especially the wealthy still get such a bang for their buck compared to other cities. Look at Monaco, look at Hong Kong. We still will surpass them. And as I mentioned before, there's no place like Miami. We are the epicenter to Latin America, Central America, and we are hop skipping away to other great areas within the United States that offers so much more. So why wouldn't you want to come live here?
Definitely. Yes. All right, so this is another question that we always get. Prices, we just showed that graphic historical prices are increasing. So, Catherine, why are we going to have another 2008? How would you answer that question?
I don't have a crystal ball, but I would personally say absolutely not. There was so much fraud in the mortgage industry between 2005 and 2008. Bad loans, borrowers submitting uh, bad income tax returns, they were getting into balloon loans that they didn't quite understand what they were signing at the time. And when they all came due, that's when you started to see the massive default. Right now, thanks actually to the crash, there were so many regulations put into place where it is extremely difficult to get a loan as long as you have all the proper specifications that the banks are asking, right? Your debt to income ratio is where it needs to be, and you provide all the documents. Plus, if you take a look, we're also in a very equity rich environment. There are headlines that have been coming out and statistics saying that foreclosures are ticking up. They're basing that on the Liz Pens. The Liz Pens is when borrowers fall behind on their mortgage. People will naturally, unfortunately, come into hard times. A lot of times they will fall behind in their mortgage. Plus, we were coming out of an era where there was absolutely no Liz Pens. However, that doesn't mean that the homes are going to turn into foreclosures. Most of these that fall behind now have a good amount of equity in their homes, that as long as the owner is proactive, they contact an agent and they put it on the market, they'll be able to sell it. And with those proceeds, they'll be able to pay off the bank and still keep the equity that they have.
Oh, yes, excellent. Yeah, took down a lot of great notes. Distress sales, great point. We have it in our news release that we're putting out today. It's Miami distress sales are at 1%. National, they're at 2%. So
Which is still historically low because
historically,
in a normal market, it's anywhere from 3 to 5%. So we're still well below that threshold.
yeah, definitely. Okay. Let's move on. Next slide. Okay, so let's get into closed sales. And this is very exciting news here that positive numbers to report year over year, up 4.48% for Miami-Dade. That's total sales. Single families up, condos up. Let's take a look at Broward. Again, they're following the same trend lines, up across the board. And Palm Beach, big jumps there. Um, and we kind of got like an indicator when we were here last month. I saw that pending sales had jumped up. Not a lot of times pending sales come to fruition, but they did this month. But Catherine, these are great numbers for our market, right?
No, absolutely. As I mentioned before, we're definitely starting to see consumer sentiment is at an all-time high. There's more buyers, and we started to see that shift throughout the year. The beginning started a little bit slower, where we're still getting a lot more pushback from owners as far as credit or dropping the price. But as the year As the time passed, they became more flexible. We are having more buyers now in the market, which is great, which is furthering showing in the numbers.
Yes. And also looking at the pending sales for September this month, they are up again. So let's see if we get together next month and we have closed sales up again when we get back together next month. All right, so let's talk about some tools that we could help the realtors that are on this call and are streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn. Are you guys using Market Watch on Matrix? That really lets you see what's happening in the market the last 7 days. Catherine, how can do you use this and how can realtors take advantage of this?
If you are a new agent or you just want to keep track of the market, I would every single day go on Matrix, look at Market Watch, set up your hot sheets, especially if you are looking to specialize in particular neighborhoods or to farm particular neighborhoods. Set up your hot sheets because then they will give you stats for that particular area, because you need to know your stats. Even if you want to farm, let's say, for expired listings, you can set up hot sheets that will give you the expired listings for a particular neighborhood. So you can really hone in on specific neighborhoods, cities, and the market that you're looking to target.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yes, hot sheets. Hot sheets. That's great. Great job. Okay, let's talk about some more tools that want to make sure everybody on this call are using. We're gonna go over them. We got IMAP, SunStats, we got zip code reports, RPR. Let's go first. Let's do IMAP. Um, Catherine, where would you rank? I know Matrix is the number one tool, but is IMAP number two for you, or where would you rank?
IMAP is absolutely my second favorite. You
Yeah.
can pull so much information. It speaks to every single, think of it speaking to every single property appraiser in the entire state. So sometimes we do get leads, or we know somebody that, let's say, wants you to sell a piece of land or a property that is not in the Tri-County area. Let's say it's in Ocala. You are able to pull all those stats, comps from anywhere in Florida. Also, if you are looking into a property, whether you are representing a buyer or a seller, but you want to get the history of the property, now IMAP also shows you work that's been done, permits that have been pulled, if they're open, if they're closed. There's a measuring tool that you can measure the outside of a lot. It is so robust.
Excellent. That's a great recap there of IMAP. You guys take advantage. It's free for all Miami members. And by the way,
And
yeah.
sorry, wanted to mention a couple other things on IMAP. You can also use that program to lead gen. Um, for example, I mentioned expireds, but if you are looking to prospect expired listings, but that have not recent expired listings, let's say from 3 months and on, the ones that, agents forget about because everybody calls all the recent ones. You can pull those lists here. There's different tabs that you can access. We talked about list pens, the ones that are falling behind on their mortgage. There's another tab to pull. It's called pre-foreclosures. You can pull up all the list pens and target those. As I mentioned, 9 times out of 10, you're going to notice that they have equity. So it's just about presenting their options, and you are able to then have a normal sale out of that instead of going through the short sale process. So I would highly suggest taking a IMAP class, specifically one geared towards prospecting, so you can know how to use this particular program in to get leads.
Ah, that's very good. And at the end, I'm going to show you our trainers. We have some great trainers that, as Catherine said, are putting on classes all the time. So we'll have the information at the end, the presentation. But IMAP is a game changer. RPR is also free for all Miami members. You get neighborhood reports, a lot of stats there. They could take advantage. SunStats. I love SunStats. I think one of the most valuable things because it gives you stats for every single city, every single county in Florida, going back to I think 2008. So,
Yeah.
and Yeah, and
It's one of my favorite programs, especially when you're building out presentations. You can use them for presentations if you're doing one for the office, or if you have a buyer seller, you can also send them statistics. If you want things for social media, you can create infographics with your brand on the bottom and your information. So it's a really phenomenal tool.
yeah, and did we mention it's free? And also I remember at one of our events, the Florida Realtor CEO was talking about that there's new updates coming to Sunstat, so that it's going to become even better. All right, so let's talk about dollar volume. What are the stats, new stats being released today? Dollar volume, $1.6 billion spent in Miami-Dade, 1.1 billion in Broward, 1.6 billion in Palm Beach. Catherine, does not include new construction. This is all existing. These are mind-blowing numbers, and it shows you the power of the industry, right?
No, absolutely. And new construction is a whole other animal, which if you all haven't seen the report yet, it's on Miami Realtors. I would suggest look at the new construction report. It's great, shows you where all the international buyers are also coming. But this right here showing the $1 billion in real estate really shows the power that Miami has.
Yes. And thank you for reminding me on the new construction report. I'm putting the exact this website will show you all of our presentations. Lucy asked a good question. Does Sunsets have an app or just a website? It's just a website, right?
It's just the website. You
Mm.
can access so everything that we're mentioning, IMAP, Sunstats, RPR, it's all on your Miami dashboard.
There you go. Yes. And you could favorite it.
Where to find the new construction report. Chris could put the link here at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's get into months of supply. So typically we want, 6 to 9 months is a balanced market. It's good for the buyers, good for the sellers. So less than six is a seller's market, and more than nine is a buyer's market. This is how my predecessor used to do this as well. We've always done, 6 to 9 months is a balanced market. Um, and then
Which
so
is, sorry, which is
um,
basically what we're in right now. We're in a balanced market. So a lot of, and again, we're seeing a lot, we've been seeing all year the headlines of, oh, prices are depreciating. We're seeing price decreases, but I go back to sellers were very stuck on previous pricing when they were able to list at the price that they wanted and they would get it. However, now you have to really truly look at comps, but not just comps. You have to look at what's for sale and how long it's been on the market to really get a good gauge as to where you need to price the home so it doesn't sit on the market that long. So you're still going to get market value for the property. You're just not going to get over unless it's a very unique and updated properties. We are still seeing those sell for a premium.
interesting. Okay. Let's move along here to the next. Months of supply, this is how, if you want to calculate it, here's a little calculator. Again, when you guys type in your email into the chat, you'll be able to take your time with this presentation. But that's an example how you could calculate it for in your neighborhood, any neighborhood you're trying to farm. All right, let's talk about months supply for Miami-Dade. It's at 10.4 months. Exactly what Catherine said, single family balanced market, condos 14 months, buyer's market. But let's see the others. Broward County total is at 8.5 months. And then single family seller's market, you got more information there. Palm Beach,
And even though
tighter
we're
supply.
seeing the condo and townhouse market more towards a buyer's market, it's taking up closer to that 1 year mark. It's still significantly lower than pre-COVID stats when we were at 24 months supply at one point.
Yes, yes, you're very, um, yeah, we got to put it in perspective, right? Take the long view. Yep. All right, so we could also, look at different price buckets, where is the months of supply and 1 million, a lot of the majority of our sales are 1 million and up now. But those properties have always taken a while to sell, right? The luxury, especially the ultra luxury, right, Catherine?
Yes, typically the ultra luxury has always been the type of property that has taken longer to sell on the market, even though there are moments now that we're seeing those move a bit quicker. Now, the luxury market, though, anything between 1.5 to I would say 2.5, 3 million, those are not moving as quickly. So we're back to making sure that if you are signing listing agreements, um, if they are trying to aim, if they're very insistent on trying to aim for a bit of a higher price, or you know that the property is not going to show well due to how it's decorated inside, or if it needs updating, make sure that those listing agreements are going to be for at least a year. Luxury products, you are going to be spending money marketing between either staging, virtually staging, videos, photography, marketing. You are going to be spending at least a couple $1,000 at least. You do not want to put yourself in a position where it's going to expire and you're going to lose that money. You want to give yourself as much room as possible to really market that property to the best of your ability to be able to get the most for your seller.
Wow, I love that tip. I wrote that down. That's something I hadn't heard. Great. Yeah, listing agreement for at least a year. That's some great. I think that's going to help a lot of people. That's awesome. All right, so let's take a look at the hottest markets. Hottest markets, which is the lowest months of supply. This is from Miami-Dade. Our design team put this together today because we have our Q3 reports today. So when you go to sfmarketintel.com, you will have September 2025 stats and you will have quarter three stats. And the quarter three stats go through every city and every zip code in South Florida. And so we looked at the hottest markets, and number one is Kendall on single family, actually on both sides. But Catherine, when you look at these cities, anyone that piques your interest or you'd like to talk about?
Well, when you look at these cities, it's affordability, right? So that's why they're moving quickly. You have the most amount of buyers flocking there. It's affordability. Plus, they all have such unique projects and they're building up like Hialeah. It for me is one of the best investments you can do right now. They have that art district now in East Hialeah. There's so much business and commerce that is constantly coming to the city. Kendall's always a great one, and it's very close to. I know Homestead is not on there, and Homestead right now it's very. You have to be careful because it's so overly saturated with all the new construction. But I would say within the next 10 years, you will start to see gains in any of the properties that you are going to be purchasing, especially because the local officials are trying to bring in businesses and commerce to that area to build it up. And its location is quite unique because you are very close also to the Florida Keys.
Wow, that's I love that. So you got Hialeah and Homestead to watch out for, and we just had some great presentations on Homestead
Mhm.
at the commercial conference. Yeah, and there's a new sports um, facility that's going to be built down there.
They have
So
the race car track. There's another
yeah,
sports facility that they're going to be building out. There's some great projects that are going to be coming into the city.
exciting. All right. So remember where you heard it first. Hialeah and Homestead. I love it. Okay, so let's take a look at Broward. These are the hottest markets in Broward. Coconut Creek, number one, single family. Look how low that is, 3.4 months supply. Wilton Manors on condominium side. And then for Palm Beach, Jupiter, only 3.9 months of supply. And Palm Beach Gardens on the condo side. Active inventory. Let's see how many active listings we have for September 2025. These are new stats that we're releasing. And so, yes, they're increasing. But Catherine, take a look at that graph, and you can see how the numbers are starting to turn downward. So it looks like, what you mentioned earlier about how it's cyclical, right? And how, this is a season where the listings start going down, right?
Right. So I've forecast we're going to start seeing even more of a dip as we start, especially getting into the holiday season. But come the new year, we're going to see an uptick again in listings.
Yes. So this is interesting because, earlier in the year, I want to say it was up, Miami-Dade active listings were up 20 to 30% year over year. And so now it's at 19. Okay, so let's recap some of the stuff that we have talked about. New listings are declining. Actually, on the condo side, new listings are down 5 consecutive months. Uh, we talked about the mortgage rates. Pending sales are up and our price appreciation. All right, global trivia answers. Who do you think got it correct? So the first question, I was looking at it and there was someone got it right really quick. I want to go back into the chat. They did a great job. So the first question is, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? It's Argentina. It's the Messi effect. And so I saw that the very first guess was China, and that's actually a good guess because they are the China was ranked number one searching for our most recent month. So they that member was following us. So and then so congrats to Bridget McLean, Argentina. Great job, you got it. A plus there. Thank you. So Argentina is the top country. And then what percentage of new construction buyers are from Latin America? It's 49%. And there was actually Bonell, 50%, and ZA with 49% exactly. So thank you guys. You did a great job. And then the last question is, what percentage of South Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? And it's 49% as well. So amazing. Catherine, always when I look at this, look at the difference between number one and number two. You would think that Orlando would have more sales, but that really shows the power of our global.
Absolutely, especially I know you're going to get into new construction soon, but Southeast Florida, we have such a huge multicultural hub, but the majority is from Central and South America. And we are such an easy flight, let's say, to and from those countries. So a lot of them are bringing, and especially a lot of the countries that when there tends to be uncertainty or turmoil, they bring their businesses overseas over here. Miami, Broward, West Palm Beach, I would say that furthest north tends to be tends to be the area that they target because it's the easiest to establish their business. They're amongst, their culture, their language, and a lot of them do have trade with Central and South America, which makes it an easier hub to be in.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Vonell, I love the emojis you put there. He put a happy face and the emoji with a sunglasses, and then he wrote Orlando. What's that? It's funny. All right, tools and resources. We have Sunstats. We talked about that. Catherine did a great job explaining that, and I hope everybody on this call are using Sunstats. If not, register for free and get that information today. It's going to help you in your business. We have co-branded materials on miamirealtors.com/co-brand. This is top reasons to buy in Miami and Broward. We have top rankings where you could add your company logo to the top. Take advantage, that's free. We have Miami Photify. I know there was a question on Sunstats, is it mobile? And it's not, but Miami Photify is mobile, is only available on your app. And essentially, we, the association, our design team has put in 1,000 templates where all you have to do is that the bottom section. You add your headshot, you add your information and your company logo, and you're able to share it like that. Miami Photify. That's free. And then this is what I was talking about earlier about our market reports that you're going to have September and you're going to have Q3, and it's on sfmarketintel.com. And this is an example of what we're going to be putting out on social media that if you guys could help us share this, these are infographics, videos, all of this is on sfmarketintel.com. You'll find all the information there. We have zip code and city reports, every single city. And Catherine, this is this is how realtors really become successful, right? It's great to know the macro, but you got to know the micro, right?
You really got to know the micro, know your numbers, especially when you are presenting whether either to a buyer or seller. But it's not just knowing the statistics, also know the history behind the home, the neighborhood that they are buying into. Buyers are emotional. We all know they're emotional creatures, right? Knowing Miami's story, how it started, knowing specifics on the neighborhoods. Like, for example, if you are in Miami Beach, saying that one of the neighborhoods was once the heart of the Art Deco revival, and now it's one of the most walkable neighborhoods, or how Wynwood has become a global arts destination. If you're entering a historical house, knowing its history due to the area, all that will really connect you with them and set you apart, in addition to knowing all these statistics.
Ah, I love it. Those are great tips, guys. Um, and then so let's talk about, just recapping. We talked about RPR. It is free Miami service to all Miami members. Catherine did a great job of talking about IMAP and classes. These are the trainers that will help you. They put on classes every single day. If you have any question on IMAP, on Photify, on Sunstats, send an email to trainers@miamire.com. They will get back to you as quick as possible. You could give them a call. Also, you could go on our website where we list all of our classes. I'm going to put it in the chat for the calendar.
And
All right.
then, sorry, just also wanted to mention, let your managers know, your brokers know if you feel that it would be a good class for the office. Like, could call the association, have one of the trainers go out to the office and teach that.
Yeah, very good point. Yes. Okay, so getting towards the end, Catherine, let's talk about cross-market demand. So this is essentially what markets outside of Florida are looking at South Florida listings. This is on Realtor.com. And to get this, it's very easy. Just go on Google and type cross-market demand. It's the number one thing that pops up. And you could put in any single city in the entire US, and you could get this information. So this is Miami-Dade. And we talk about all of the data that we have is showing that New York loves Miami. And you can see all the different New York counties here. But Catherine, you talked about earlier about using YouTube ads and Google ads. What about you recommend our members going to different conferences and like networking and building referrals? Is that another way to, expand their business?
Absolutely. So I always tell the agents in the office when they are building out their business plans for the year to also be very strategic and include certain either one or two local events and then a conference that they want to attend either nationally or internationally, because we have so much business coming to Florida. Even if it's a realtor-based national event, you can really build a huge referral network. Like, for example, if you go, there's TREB every year in Toronto. It's the largest real estate conference because they are the largest association in the world. And we have so much business coming from Canada down to South Florida. The last time I went, actually, a lot of the realtors I met over there were looking for properties for themselves. Um, so be very tactful. If you, and I'm one of those, if you have a business card that does not have your face on it, create a separate batch. So when you are going to these, it might be a silly recommendation, but it works when you're going to these conferences. Other agents that you are giving your cards out to, they're also meeting tens, dozens of other agents. They might forget who that card relates to, but if you have your face on there, they will remember. And then also do the same, write notes for yourself, and then follow up with all of them. And just as you put buyers and sellers on a drip campaign, put them on a drip campaign, but specific to statistics to the local area. So if they're ever wanting to buy here, or they have one of their clients that they're selling their property because they're going to be moving to South Florida, you are going to be their go-to agent. And there are tons of statistics that you can easily gather from either that Chris sends out or from the stats portion of Miami Realtors, or just statistics that you can pull from Sunstats or Florida Realtors that you can easily compile and email every single month to send out to them.
Wow, you've given a lot of great nuggets. I love that putting a face on your business card so they remember you. Because it's true. I mean, you collect so many of those cards that you forget, who's
Yeah. And
uh,
I would also include also be very specific with what international conference you want to attend to also. Um, if you look at the new construction report that Chris sent out, you're going to notice the influx of international buyers we have, and the majority of those international buyers are from Latin America. Look at what countries specifically are buying here. You can target those then either through Google Ads or see what real estate conferences are being hosted in those countries. Like Colombia has a huge one in Bogota. Go over there, make partnerships with realtors. A lot of those agents are really interested to see how we do business here and establish relationships with us.
oh, that's awesome.
And it's also a tax write-off.
Tax write-off. There you go. That's good. And then so yes, when I send you this presentation later this afternoon, I'm going to include a link to the new construction report, so it's easy, a direct link for you guys, so you'll have that. Okay, so that's Miami. Let's take a look. Cross market demand, Broward County, New York again, number one, DC at number two. But yes, use these tips that Catherine's given you to get more business. These are the counties that are looking at your listings. Palm Beach, look how many are from New York, New Jersey at the bottom. Um, New York loves Palm Beach, so that's amazing. Data there. All right, so we're almost at 3 p.m. Catherine, here's Catherine's information. Again, she is going to be our 2027 chairman of the board. We're very excited about that. You can follow her on Instagram. And here is my information, my email, and our social media. But Catherine, amazing job. Any final takeaways for our members that you have?
Just don't overthink, let's say your marketing strategies. We talked about targeting different areas in the US, locally, internationally. Um, don't tr what I was telling some of my agents, don't wait until you think something is perfect. Don't post a video because you don't think it's perfect. Just do it. You eventually you will start to get traction. I have a friend in another market who literally grabs her phone every single day and just walks through neighborhoods explaining what they are, new constructions, history behind homes, and she just posts it on her YouTube channel. And it's gotten so much traction that she gets anywhere from 50 to 70,000 a year in revenue just from leads from that YouTube channel, from people reaching out to her because she posts so much. And a lot of times all those videos you see out there that are especially choreographed, they're great, they're beautiful. However, consumers love to see rawness. So be you. Don't be afraid to pick up your phone, record yourself, post, just be you.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. And that's true for all things in your life, right? But it's interesting how it's all about repetitions, right? The more you do something, the better you'll get. The better you get at it.
And be very intentional with what you do. If you're going to go to a conference, ask yourself, what do I want to get out of this? Who do I want to meet? Who do I want to target? So you go there with intention and purpose, and you can execute flawlessly. Pinpoint the neighborhoods that you want to target. we can't control where referrals come from. So driving sometimes 45 minutes or an hour to show a property because you're either showing them to buyers or you have a listing that's far is inevitable, but you could control where you're farming and where a lot of your leads come from. So be very intentional that way. Have a game plan, set your calendars, do your marketing plan in time block, and just be as organized as possible so you stay consistent and you're able to execute.
Excellent. I love it. All right, Catherine, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I know you were at the meeting today and you're able to jump on here. So uh,
Always a pleasure doing this. You're amazing. Everyone, please follow, look at his monthly stats every single month. Follow also the Miami Association Instagram handle. I think Chris put it on there. He posts the top markets every single week. So there's a lot of information that you can easily grab. You can brand it with your logos, repost, or just grab and post. But you should never feel like you have nothing to share to your audience.
awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys being here. And have a great weekend, and we'll see you back in a month. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. Bye bye.